Hey, Professor. I learned about the early settlement of English America. I learned about the headright system and how England was offering 50 acres with your ticket to a new world. There was indentured servitude. That's primarily what the New England colonies were using. They also used slavery as well. But so you would go over there, you would work your time, and then once your time was up, you would get your 50 acres. And then you could get indentured servants or slaves or whatever you wanted. Now, they were really just running away from religious persecution. Um, the Catholics in England were not very tolerant of the Protestants. Then you have the Chesapeake Bay colonies who came in, and they used slaves basically pretty much right off the rip. But they were in the business of making money. They wanted to make as much money as possible so that they could get rich. I also learned about how whenever they got there, the colonizers, disease among the natives was all over the place. And there wasn't that much food. It was actually very hard early on. There was the Anglo-Powhatan Wars, where the Indians almost ousted the English colonizers off the land, and they may have been able to if we didn't get Indian allies at the time. As far as religion goes, Puritans were always around. Then there was the Protestants, there was the Quakers, all of which were different ideologies of Christianity coming around the time of the Great Awakening. As far as politics go, the politics in England got a little dicey. The king got ousted, James II, and was replaced by, I believe it was Henry II and his wife, Mary. And during that time, they weren't getting taxed the way that they maybe should have been, or England thought that they maybe should have been. Now, as far as like what I think was the most important factor contributing to the coming of the American Revolution, I would say that one, England having to continuously have a standing army over there to prevent the Indians from attacking or their enemies. Okay, so they're having to pay for that. And they feel like because they're having to protect their citizens, that the citizens should have to pay for it. But the way that the Americans are looking at it is they wouldn't be my enemies if I wasn't your colony. But really and truly, the biggest factor was the French and Indian War. 100,000%. None of the taxes, none of the tax hacks, Stamp Act, Navigation Acts. The Navigation Acts were already in, but Stamp Act, Currency Act, Tea Act, all of those things would have never came to fruition had the British not lost so much money in the war that they won. And they felt that because America was a large benefactor in the war, and it was one of the main fronts, like, yes, they fought in Europe over in France and Britain, but one of the main venues of battle was in America. And so I definitely think that definitely didn't help. And then King's Philip War coming right after definitely didn't help. But yeah. Now, what is the most interesting thing that I learned so far would have to be that George Washington was the general. His commanding officer got shot, and if he was supposed to take a fort, but it wasn't supposed to be occupied, but it was. And yeah, so the person who started the French and Indian War just so happened to be our very first president, George Washington. Learned about that in the book, and then I was so intrigued by it that I watched a video on it, and turns out that, yeah, it was true. Another thing that was very, very cool was Pocahontas. Learning that she was the first woman to like accept Christianity and then go over to, like, she was like a celebrity in England. I think that that's really cool. I have no idea about the movie though, but yeah, it's been a very good class.